The 1970s brought us unforgettable music legends, but one star's rise to fame hid a heartbreaking truth. While their voice dominated the charts, behind the scenes they battled unimaginable pain. Loved by millions, they lived a life far darker than the public ever knew. Their tragic fall from grace shook the world, leaving fans reeling. This is the haunting true story of one of the greatest singers of the 70s, the rise of Dutch rock amid the British invasion. While in the late 1960s, British bands such as the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, and the Kinks took over the globe, the Netherlands had their own magical music time. Inspired by these rock stars, Dutch artists dove headfirst into new sounds, pushing creative limits. Shocking Blue truly shocked things up during this explosion of a musical era. Formed originally in 1967 in the electrifying city of The Hague, the band took a new turn with rock and pop by infusing it with psychedelia. It would not be long before the uniqueness in their sound set them apart and captured the attention of music lovers everywhere. The band's breakthrough came with their hit single Venus, which topped the charts in multiple countries, including the United States. This success highlighted the Dutch rock scene on an international stage. Shocking Blue's blend of rock, pop, and psychedelia was a testament to their innovative spirit. They combined catchy melodies with experimental sounds, creating a fresh and exciting music style that resonated with audiences far beyond the Netherlands. Other Dutch bands followed in Shocking Blue's footsteps, further developing the country's rock scene. Groups like Golden Earring and Focus also gained prominence during this period, each adding their unique twist to rock music. Golden Earring, with their hit Radar Love, showcased a mix of hard rock and intricate guitar work, while Focus's fusion of rock and progressive elements exemplified in Hocus Pocus earned them international acclaim. Robbie Van Leeuwen's vision, Shocking Blue's birth. Shocking Blue was the brainchild of a guitarist-cum-songwriter named Robbie Van Leeuwen, who had big dreams of producing music that was sure to get across to an international audience. Having already played with the immensely popular group The Motions, Van Leeuwen was itching to try something new and even more innovative. For this task, he managed to compile the original membership comprising Fred de Wilde on vocals, Klaasje van der Wal on bass, and Cor van Beek on drums. Each member added flavor, and together they created a very special sound. He was highly inspired by the psychedelic rock scene back in the day, with all the groovy riffs and melodic guitar parts. His songwriting was saturated with unforgettable hooks and lyrical elements that remained in people's heads a long time after. De Wilde's smooth, soulful vocals give the band's music yet another dimension of emotion, while Klaasje's steady bass laid down a rock-solid groove. Meanwhile, Cor van Beek's energizing drumming glued it all together, adapting seamlessly to the band's various styles. Challenges and breakthroughs, the early years of Shocking Blue. The pity is that with all their talent and huge ambitions, Shocking Blue had a somewhat poor start. In the late 1960s, there were fully packed bands, each trying to be noticed, so it was not pretty easy for anybody to make it. To make themselves known, Shocking Blue had to play hundreds of small clubs all over the Netherlands. That was all so important to mature the sound and live performances, but it also really took a lot out of the band, both physically and mentally. Then there was the money issue. Like so many new bands, Shocking Blue had to scrape for cash and gear to record and promote themselves. Poor finances allowed for only a minimalist approach in their struggle for recognition, which made their uphill battle that much more steep within an increasingly crowded musical landscape. Their fortune started to turn around in 1968 when they came into the radar of Pink Elephant Records, a Dutch label that gave new talent a boost. Signing with Pink Elephant was a coup. It opened professional recording opportunities and a greater audience to them. By the time of their early singles with Pink Elephant, Send Me a Postcard, and Long and Lonesome Road, among others, started creating a ripple in the Dutch music circles. These songs depicted an interesting junction of rock energy and pop melodies, for which the audience and critics were quite positive, further helping them build up an increasing fan base. Yet, despite this initial success, worldwide fame was still over the horizon. Shocking Blue continued to put in the work, refining their sound, waiting for that big break. That finally came in 1969 when they released Venus, a song that would become a major milestone in their career. They had innumerable live performances, struggled through the tricky music industry, and tried different sounds. Most important among the lot, Robbie Van Leeuwen played a major role in driving the creative vision of the band, fusing together influences from folk, blues, and even Eastern music into something quite unique. The departure of Fred De Wilde and the arrival of Mariska Veres. Fred De Wilde was indeed an influential factor within Shocking Blue during their early heyday. He added soul to the band, making them different from any other Dutch band. However, as the year 1960 advanced, the Shocking Blue experienced much turbulence with regard to its sound and membership. De Wilde's leaving the band was a mix of personal and professional reasons. As Shocking Blue continued experimenting with its styles and sounds, it became evident that their lead singer would need to change with the band. The guitarist, Robbie Van Leeuwen, pushed the band toward a more rock-driven direction, and with that change came an obligation to find themselves a vocalist with more range and characteristic sound. Early life of Mariska Veres. Mariska Veres was born on October 1, 1947 in The Hague. With a Hungarian father, a pianist, and her mother of French descent, she grew up amidst diverse musical influences. This finally triggered the girl's singing interest at an early age. Before she joined Shocking Blue, Mariska was already an established figure in the Dutch music scene. She had performed with a number of bands, including the Bumblebees, where her commanding voice gained local accolades. Blessed with a deep, resonant contralto voice, unusual for most women singers of her era, she also boasts a striking presence often compared to Brigitte Bardot. It didn't take long for Robbie Van Leeuwen, the Shocking Blue guitarist and primary songwriter, to realize that Mariska's unique style was just what the band had been looking for to complete their evolving sound. Joining Shocking Blue, a new chapter. When Mariska Veres joined Shocking Blue, it was like finding the perfect puzzle piece. Not only did the band get an amazing singer, but they also gained someone with a super cool presence. Mariska's deep, smoky voice added a new magic to their songs, letting the band try out lots of different styles. Songs that were once a bit limited by Fred De Wilde's voice now had a new twist with Mariska's powerful singing. Plus, Mariska's striking looks made Shocking Blue stand out, giving them a unique style that caught everyone's eye. With Mariska leading the band, Shocking Blue started working on new music that showed off her incredible voice. She could sing with so much feeling that it made the songs even more special. Her long, jet-black hair, bold makeup, and stylish clothes became famous, and people started to associate her look with the band. In those days, looking great was just as important as sounding great, and Mariska helped Shocking Blue create a look that was as captivating as their music. Mariska's time with the band led to some of their biggest hits. One of their most famous songs, Venus, was released in 1969 and made them famous all around the world. Robbie Van Leeuwen, the band's guitarist and songwriter, was the genius behind Venus. He mixed inspiration from the big British bands like the Beatles and the Rolling Stones with the exciting new psychedelic rock sounds. He even took a guitar riff inspired by an old banjo song and turned it into something new and rockin'. When it was time to record Venus, the band went to Soundpush Studios in the Netherlands. It was a thrilling experience as they worked hard to capture the energy of their live shows. Producer Fred Hien helped shape the final sound of the song, making sure everything from the guitar riff to Mariska's vocals was just right. Mariska's performance in Venus was incredible. Her powerful voice made the song's themes of love and desire really come alive. In the studio, she played around with her singing style, adding special touches that made Venus even more exciting. The recording team used cool tricks like double tracking and reverb to give the song a big, impressive sound that made it even more memorable. The band's struggles and ultimate breakup. Although Shocking Blue had some big hits, most notably their number single entitled Venus, things for them started to go wrong by 1974. The band members started fighting with each other and were unable to move along with the tide of change in the music scene at that time. They could not keep up the pace of the earlier success, and due to that, they broke up. When Venus came out at the end of 1969, it was immediately evident that Shocking Blue had done something special. It was super catchy, boasted a great vocal delivery, and the song immediately drew everybody's attention. Not bad for a song popular in the Netherlands, it almost instantaneously made it to the top of the Billboard Hot 100 for February 1970. It was huge because Shocking Blue became the first Dutch band to do so. Venus reached the top positions in places like Australia, Canada, and many European countries like France and Spain. People around the world enjoyed its light-hearted melody and catchiness of the song. Straight away, Venus became an instant hit all over the world, playing extensively in all radios and opening the road widely for a great number of artists to perform cover versions. Critics just loved that special blend of rock, pop, and psychedelia. The voice of Marisa stole the attention of everybody. Absolutely unique and unrepeatable at that moment, it gave the song an exceptional authority in comparison with hits of that particular year. Impressive, too, was the assemblage of the song. The band worked hard to have everything sound just perfect, and Robbie Van Leeuwen's songwriting was at once radio-friendly and wholesome. With Venus, Shocking Blue got to be internationally famous. They toured through countries worldwide, bringing them more income with which to improve their shows and recordings. Success, personified by Venus, means there's pressure to follow that up with even more of the same, and they never did better. Touring and recording took a lot out of them, tensions abounded, and changes were going on with the group. But through it all, Venus remained a vital part of Shocking Blue's history. Of course, it is remembered to this day and is regularly heard on classic rock radio, being played in movies and ads. Venus is one of the greatest pop rock songs from the 20th century, and Marisa's performance is still celebrated as one of the best. The first Dutch band to top U.S. charts. There was one hit called Venus around the world by a Dutch band called Shocking Blue. The band scored big in history because this was the first instance where a band which came from Holland had its song topping the charts in America. But Venus did not shine bright only in America. It reached number 1 in Canada and hit monstrously in Europe like France, Belgium, and Spain. In the UK, it managed to climb up to number 8 on their singles chart, while being a top hit in Australia and New Zealand too. Even South Africa and South America were shaken by this song, proving that worldwide voila. But what happened to Venus was far from over upon its first release. In 1981, the song re-emerged onto the UK charts and reached number 4. Then, 19 years later, Bananarama finally did a cover of the song and brought it to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 1986. This showed that even many years later, Venus could still capture people's hearts. But what set Venus apart was that it simply sounded different. The song combined rock, pop, and psychedelia in a way that was really and truly ahead of its time. At the center of this vision was Robbie Van Leeuwen's innovative guitar approach and Marisa's powerful vocals. Irresistibly catchy and provocatively so, this would get airplay on both the radio and club DJs continuously to further its success. This song also introduced the international success of Venus for Shocking Blue. Stage charisma by Marisa gave more value to the popularity of this band, thus proving that music could cross cultures and boundaries. Success from Venus made Shocking Blue work hardest to maintain their fame afterward. The group produced several subsequent singles and albums, but failed to repeat the phenomenal success of Venus. Songs like Never Marry a Railroad Man and Hello Darkness did well in Europe, but never really had much impact in the U.S. Shocking Blue, though touring and releasing singles with dynamic live performances couldn't keep up with the currently pulling tendencies of the music scene. New glam rock and heavy metal genres started taking over the scene to which Shocking Blue couldn't easily adjust. The group felt disagreements among the band members and pressures that came with trying to keep their success going. When Robbie Van Leeuwen left in 1973, that was a major blow to the group. His leaving had caused them to lose much of the dynamic that kept them running, almost impossible to catch the same magic. Shocking Blue found it rather hard to regain the success they had gone through. Ups and downs were all over the place. Even with these ordeals, Shocking Blue will always be remembered for how Venus had captured the attention of the world and made them dance and sing along. Their influence was still felt even when the band broke up. When Venus was riding high, Shocking Blue made a huge splash in the late 1960s and early 1970s music business, ashing itself into a well-liked act. With all their problems, their eventual breakup did little to affect appreciation from their fans and music critics alike in acknowledgement of their service to the music world. With Shocking Blue finally breaking up in 1974, an era indeed came to an end. The band had some early successes, such as the worldwide hit Venus, but could not carry those into the shifting music landscape and iron out their own issues. The last part is an especially good indicator of just how difficult it is to keep success going within the very competitive world of rock music. British girl group Bananarama had brought the Shocking Blue hit Venus in favor of the band in the 1980s. When Bananarama's cover version of Venus came out in 1986, it was massive at that time. It reached #1 in the U.S.'s Billboard Hot 100 and reached a high position in other countries' charts as well. This revival gave Shocking Blue's sound to a completely different generation and furthered the song's stance in popular culture. The version by Bananarama was not a cover. It was a remake of the song and sounded like it came from the 1980s. This new version had a faster tempo with more digital production that was popular at the time and actually helped the song. The response to Bananarama's version of Venus was a good example of how famous the song is and also how well the song works with different types of music. Venus in pop culture. Venus continued to show her influence with the song's continuous appearances in every type of pop culture imaginable. The placements in several movies, TV shows, and ads have allowed the song to be quite deeply ingrained into popular culture. People love this song because it has a very appealing tune and a great chorus that makes it easily memorable. Using this tune in media will make people feel nostalgic or support women. Venus was sung by many artists. Each one of them gave his signature to the old song. Because it can be modified so easily, many artists added it into their collection, which just proves it will never go out of style. The unique sound of the song has also sparked many other artists, further making it a significant reference to all musicians. Shocking Blue's role in rock history. The band Shocking Blue made a big and lasting impact on the history of rock music by being the first to combine rock and pop sounds in new and interesting ways. Because of Marisa Verisa's strong singing, the band was able to create a unique sound that set them apart from other bands around at the time. Because Venus was so popular, other bands were able to try out ideas that were from different styles. A lot of singers who came after them have used the band's influence in their own work. From the late 1960s to the early 1970s, they helped shape the sound of rock and pop music in ways that are still important today. The fact that Shocking Blue's music has been influential for decades shows how important they were in the growth of popular music, even though they were only famous for a short time. Do well to like this video, subscribe to this channel, and click on the next video showing on your screen now.